In the quiet hours of October 6, 1973, the Middle East was about to be shaken to its core. As the world celebrated Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the Jewish calendar, a war unlike any other was about to erupt. This is the story of the Yom Kippur War, a conflict that altered the course of history in the region and beyond. To understand the Yom Kippur War, we must first take a step back. The year is 1973. A fragile peace exists between Israel and its Arab neighbors, but tensions remain high. The Arab states, particularly Egypt and Syria, harbored deep grievances over their losses in the 1967 Six-Day War, in which Israel captured vast territories, including the Sinai Peninsula and the Golan Heights. Egypt and Syria, along with their Arab allies, were determined to reclaim their lost land. But Israel, having gained military superiority, was confident in its position. This confidence would prove to be both a blessing and a curse. It was on the morning of October 6, 1973, when the unthinkable happened. Israel, caught off guard during the sacred observance of Yom Kippur, was attacked on two fronts. In the west, Egypt launched a massive assault across the Suez Canal, while to the north, Syria sent its forces to retake the Golan Heights. Simultaneously, both Egypt and Syria launched surprise attacks. The Egyptians, supported by a well-coordinated assault, crossed the Suez Canal and advanced into the Sinai Peninsula. Meanwhile, Syrian forces stormed the Golan Heights, catching Israeli forces off guard. With Israel's defenses stretched thin and the element of surprise on their side, the Arab coalition advanced quickly. The Israeli military, though formidable, was initially overwhelmed, and the country's leadership struggled to respond. In the early hours of the war, Israel's leadership scrambled to mount a defense. The country was facing an existential threat, and the Yom Kippur ceasefire that had been observed for generations had now been shattered by violence. Despite this, Israel's military began to mobilize its forces, and within days, the tide of battle began to shift. Led by Prime Minister Golda Meir and Defense Minister Moshe Dayan, Israel quickly called upon its reserves and reorganized its forces. The IDF, Israel Defense Forces, fought back fiercely, launching counterattacks on both fronts. The tide of battle was turning. After days of intense fighting, Israel began pushing back against the Egyptians in the Sinai and the Syrians in the Golan Heights. One of the most notable battles occurred near the city of Suez, where Israeli forces broke through the Egyptian lines, cutting off their supply routes. Meanwhile, in the north, Israel's counterattack against Syria began to gain momentum, despite initial heavy losses. The Arab forces, although initially successful, were suffering from logistical problems and were unable to sustain their offensive. Israel's counteroffensive, led by skilled commanders and bolstered by military aid from the United States, began to make significant gains. As the war raged on, both sides realized they were heading toward a bloody stalemate. The United States and the Soviet Union, both superpowers involved in the Cold War, were putting pressure on their respective allies to bring the fighting to an end. A ceasefire was brokered by the United Nations on October 25, 1973. The Yom Kippur War had lasted 19 days, leaving thousands dead on both sides. The war was a devastating reminder of the volatility of the Middle East and the deep-rooted conflicts that fueled the region's geopolitics. Although the war ended in a military stalemate, it had far-reaching consequences. For Israel, the shock of the surprise attack was a wake-up call, prompting a reassessment of its security and intelligence services. It also paved the way for a new diplomatic era. In the years following the war, Egyptian President Anwar Sadat made a bold move. In 1977, he became the first Arab leader to visit Israel, a historic visit that led to the Camp David Accords in 1978. Egypt regained the Sinai Peninsula, and the peace treaty between Egypt and Israel helped reshape the region. On the Syrian front, however, the situation remained unresolved. Though Syria failed to regain the Golan Heights, the war showed that peace in the Middle East would not come easily. The Yom Kippur War was a turning point in the history of the Middle East. It demonstrated that peace, while possible, would require unprecedented efforts, and it highlighted the deep divisions that remained in the region. But it also proved that, no matter how dire the circumstances, there is always the possibility for dialogue and understanding. Though the Yom Kippur War was a tragedy for many, it became a catalyst for change, a reminder that even in the darkest times, new opportunities for peace and reconciliation can emerge. Today, as we reflect on that fateful day in 1973, we are reminded of the importance of vigilance, diplomacy, and the ongoing quest for peace in the Middle East. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more deep dives into history's most pivotal moments.